Hi, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Browning Cinema. My name is Anthony Monta. I'm the Associate Director of the Nanovic Institute for European Studies here on campus. Tonight's feature is the third of 4 presentations in our film series this semester dedicated to the spirit of 1968. This theme was chosen to coincide with a conference that the Nanovic Institute has organized in conjunction with the Kellogg Institute for International Studies here at Notre Dame. That'll take place here on campus later in April. The title of that conference is 1968 in Europe and Latin America. So why on earth this film? I'm sure you didn't come to a film called Spettacolo thinking you're going to hear about 1968. Well, here's a little backstory. Thanks to the heroism of Ricky Herbst, our colleague here at the Browning Cinema, this is a late-date substitution for a film that we were going to show in this series called Give Me Future, which is a very recent film about a kind of Woodstock moment in Cuba, in Havana, a couple of years ago. And to our chagrin, that film ran into some distribution problems in our market, so we had to find a substitute at the last minute. And thanks to Ricky's efforts, we found this one. Now, we wanted to substitute a film that would generate a good audience, and at Notre Dame, Italians and Italophiles always turn out in piazza, as they say in Italy. So we felt good about that. But coincidentally, or perhaps not so coincidentally, this film also intersects with 1968 themes, as you'll see, in some subtle and interesting ways. Now, I hope you'll indulge me. We do introductions at the beginnings of these films all the time. So if you'll indulge me offering 3 thoughts about this connection and give you a few things to be on the lookout for when you watch this remarkable film. So first, if we think back to 1968, clearly an influential segment of people in the US and in Italy, at least, were rebelling. This was a time of kind of exuberant, what literary theorists call self-fashioning. Okay? Young people rejected inherited models of identity and selfhood and social norms, and they became very experimental, right, at the individual and the social level. There was a kind of do-it-yourself ethos writ large. But those efforts didn't result in kind of general anarchy because there was a strong desire at the same time, even among the experimentalists, to have various experiments cohere. Right? When we think about the 60s, we think about communes, collective concerts, political movements, new parties. Okay, there are these moments of coherence. And in the film tonight, you'll see kind of rebellion of a small community against challenges, oppressive structures. There's a strong do-it-yourself ethic. There's this practice that they call autodrama. So the inhabitants of this town in Italy, Montichiello, near the Val d'Orcia, put on a play every summer about themselves, or at least about their preoccupations. And so the community performs itself. So this desire for new forms of self-expression, they loved this and they wanted to continue and to cohere. Second, be on the lookout in the film for tensions between the local and the global. So in the late 60s, the experimentalists were often very cosmopolitan in outlook. They were outward-looking. They were careless of constraints and borders. In Italy, there's an interesting term related to the opposite feeling, and that term is called campanilismo. I'm hoping I'm going to see Alessia nod and say campanilismo. Okay. So briefly, that means to be attached to one's campanile, the bell tower in a town, and by extension to one's own little world. And sometimes in Italy and elsewhere that has, really pejorative connotations, right? It means you're exclusive, you're kind of closed-minded, fearful of the outside. But it's also sometimes used in convention to connote some positive local attachments and affections, say to one's neighbors, to local food sources, to local businesses. So in this film, watch to see how intelligently aware some people are in this film to the various shades of this meaning. While the small-town ethos has its limitations, as you'll see, the wider world isn't always entirely benevolent, isn't always beneficial. So in the end, I'll leave you to think, as this film wants you to think, about what word you would use to characterize the spirit of the Montichiellesi. Last, a broad word about art and fragility. This film is poignant, particularly at the end. I think we're living in a very utilitarian age. New technologies reward short attention spans. Art is very plentiful and cheap. Funding streams are cut for art education. Enrollments in the arts and humanities at public institutions and even private institutions, even places like Notre Dame, are in decline. And as you'll see, the people in Monta have seen all of this. This film was shot in 2012 and was released just last year. But the topic it addresses, the general topic that it grapples with, is about the challenge of how to live a life of integrity in community in the face of possible extinction. Art, and not only theater, but film, renders and communicates the fragility of that and the heroism of that. Think of Shakespeare in the Little Globe Theater. So we might think then in terms of transcendence. And I think the filmmakers here and the Monticchialesi are thinking in those terms as well. And that's a theme of perennial and universal significance. So this was a beautiful film. There's a lot of sunshine. You're going to really enjoy that. It's very sensitively constructed. So please enjoy it, and thank you for coming.